So this is a fun discussion to have heading in to 2022 for the Buffalo Bills. A discussion that I think is fully warranted, one that I think makes a ton of sense, and that is the Buffalo Bills running back plans heading into 2022. I think with the discussion of Ken Dorsey becoming the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, the new quarterbacks coach for the Buffalo Bills, and now with the recent announcement of Aaron Kromer becoming the Buffalo Bills' new offensive line coach. He's back in Buffalo after being a part of the coaching staff 2015, 2016. And during those years, 2015, 2016, we were able to establish far more of a run game than what we had seen even in recent years under, Bobby Johnson, who has left the Buffalo Bills to join Brian Dable with the New York Giants and the New York, football team, as they like to be called. So, I want to take a deep look at the running back position. I want to go player for player and just give you guys my take on how I view the running back position for the Buffalo Bills. I read Bills Twitter a lot, Bills fans, content creators talking about the running back position in particular, saying that, we don't need to really have much of a run game with Josh Allen as our quarterback. I'm always of the opinion that you do have to have some sort of a run game. You do have to know which player fits the style of a running game that you want to, I guess you could say, enact each and every week out on the field. And I think 2021 did tell us something about our run game. Post week, I'd say 10, we really started to see a better productive, I should say, run game than what we had seen up until that point. And it was spearheaded by Devin Singletary. And I want to talk about Devin Singletary first. I think Devin Singletary is the RB1, consensus RB1 heading into 2022, and rightfully so. 870 yards on the ground in X amount of touches, solid yards per carry clip. In the limited touches in certain games, he was getting under 10 touches total, whether there were 4 carries and 6 catches or however they would add up. Not many touches would be on display for Devin Singletary in this offense. And I think that Ken Dorsey is going to try to change that. And the key word in saying that is touches. I'm not necessarily saying that the Buffalo Bills are going to be a rushing offense, running in between the tackles, trying to control the line of scrimmage like the 1948 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that Devin Singletary has to be more of a part of this offense than even what he was in 2021. I liked what I saw out of him. I liked what I saw with him, provided, the right opportunity, used the right way in space. Devin Singletary in space is a dangerous player. He's a guy that can make people miss. He's a guy that is a smart runner. He has vision. He has awareness. I think it goes without saying Devin Singletary is the number one running back on this team. When you look at the depth chart, the roster, Devin Singletary should be atop it. Polarizing player on the Buffalo Bills is Zack Moss. I see a lot of a divide among Bills Mafia in regards to Zack Moss. I have always enjoyed watching Zack Moss run. You go back to the year that Zack Moss was drafted, which I believe was 2020. Zack Moss had a solid rushing career at Utah collegiately. He was great for Utah, and he was somebody that, you go back to my draft shows, I wanted Zack Moss as a part of this team. I mocked it 3rd round, the exact pick that Moss came to the Buffalo Bills. He came to the Buffalo Bills. That's literally what happened. I mocked it, and it happened. So that was actually pretty cool. That was a nice feather in the cap there for me as a draft guy to predict that and to foresee that happening. Zack Moss is a player that I think the best is yet to come. A lot of people could say, there hasn't really been that production quite yet. But I think Zack Moss has a lot to offer, especially in the power run game. With Aaron Kromer now as the offensive line coach for the Buffalo Bills, I think we will start to see the Bills brass, specifically Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, try to bring about a more physical offensive line in 2022. If you have a more physical offensive line in 2022, that will that much more help a runner like Zack Moss as well as a runner like Devin Singletary. So Zack Moss, I think he is here to stay. A lot of people are wondering whether Zack Moss is going to stay on the roster, whether the Bills will let him go. I don't think they will. I think Zack Moss is here to stay. I don't see him going anywhere. The next running back to take a look at here is Matt Breida. And Matt Breida is a player that I really like. I love the speed dimension that he provides to this offense. A lot of Bills fans are looking at, well, Breida could be gone. Could they replace Breida with a draft pick running back and add another young running back to the pair of Moss and Singletary? Quite possible. It is possible. But if in fact the Bills don't go that route, I don't necessarily see Matt Breida being a break the bank type player in terms of bringing him back. I think he did provide the Bills with a new look when it was needed at a desperate time in the season to revive the run game. And there are weeks where, let's say, if Devin Singletary did go down, Matt Breida is a great backup to Devin Singletary specifically. If Singletary were to get hurt, Breida would fill in the same particular role that Singletary plays with a little bit more speed, because that is the one dynamic to Devin Singletary's game that I just simply think he doesn't possess, is that speed dimension. So would I be against Matt Breida staying on board? Not necessarily. Do I think he will stay on? There are plenty of methods in which a team can add a running back to their roster, and Matt Breida could be replaced by a younger running back. Reggiegilliam, tight end / fullback out of Toledo. I think Buffalo did try to use him later in the year in the flat as a tight end H-back type player. I like him on this team. I like him paired with Dawson Knox. I'd say Reggiegilliam is more of a physical runner than even Zack Moss. Obviously has the size, has the power, not quite the speed that Moss possesses in terms of just a pure runner, but Gilliam is somebody that I think will team for quite a while. He's an awesome story. Was able to make the team as a undrafted free agent and made it on this roster. And then, of course, you have one of the better special teams aces in the league, Tywan Jones. Hopefully the Buffalo Bills can keep him around. But I think this running back position does have room to improve. And it's not based on who we have. It's just room to improve based on how we have used our running backs. As I said, touches. Touches are extremely important. It's not necessarily carries, just the amount of times you can get the ball in one of these backs' hands and see what they can do with it. I think Brian Daboll, the now head football coach of the New York Giants, didn't necessarily do a good enough job at implementing the run game. I don't think he really knew how to utilize the skill sets of a Singletary, Moss, Breida, Gilliam, or Jones. Mostly those Singletary, Moss, and Breida. Those were the three true backs on this team getting work out of the backfield. So with Ken Dorsey in the fold, with Joe Brady in the fold at quarterback coach, with Aaron Cromer as the offensive line coach, I expect the run game to be addressed one way or another this offseason by the Buffalo Bills brass. All in all, I'm excited to see Devin Singletary back. He had a great year this year, towards the tail end especially. Multiple touchdowns in multiple games. Zack Moss, bounce back effort from him, I think, with a physical offensive line. He can make that comeback. Jury's still out on Matt Breida, whether he'll be back or will he be replaced with a draft pick running back. And Gilliam and Jones fitting the role specific that they play within. Bills Mafia, subscribe to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast on YouTube. You can follow the podcast audio-wise on Apple Podcast, Spotify, as well as Google Podcasts. And, of course, right here on YouTube, subscribe, and Facebook, like the page. Go Bills.